So, so much of what coaching is and coaching becomes is coaching can oftentimes feel like a burden, right? Because, we have a desire to build a business, we have a desire to grow something, but a lot of times we're just starting out, right? Like we're just starting out with an idea, right? That we have just a general idea of what we want to do, what we want to achieve, and we have a strong sense that some of this idea needs to become real, right? And if an idea, if it just simply lives as an idea, what tends to happen is we will procrastinate, right? So we just name all the things that happen. We'll procrastinate with it, right? Let me put this in black. We'll procrastinate. I can't spell, y'all, so forgive me if it is misspelled. We will procrastinate. We will not prioritize, right? We will consistently, it's easy to self-sabotage, right? Because ultimately what the idea has become is it's just an idea, right? It's not real yet. It doesn't feel urgent. It doesn't feel like it absolutely has to happen. And because of this, many of the coaching programs that start, or people who try to start without anything but the idea and a strong desire, they end up not working out, right? They end up literally just staying in the box of the idea, right? And so today, one thing I want to share with you all is how to move these things that feel very negative, which is like not prioritizing, self-sabotage, and procrastination. How do you move from that to it becomes a priority, right? Like, how do we turn this into a priority? We start to initiate things, right? We don't procrastinate. We make it a priority. And then we complete things, right? We actually complete the task, okay? And I'll talk to you about how we do that today, okay? So when you start in a coaching business, when I started my coaching business, I literally had no idea what I was going to do. It felt very vague, random. It felt very authentic, but I didn't know what I was going to do. So every day felt like a crapshoot. Every day felt like, man, I'm just hoping that this works out. And every day made me very anxious because I did not understand what was going to come next, right? It always felt like what I was doing didn't have any order, it didn't have any structure, and it didn't have any clear direction, okay? And so in order to move from this simple idea that caused me anxiety, not prioritizing, self-sabotage, all these different things, the first thing I had to start with, y'all, and this is super simple, is I had to go find a plan, right? I needed a clear plan. What the heck am I doing? What is the point of this? I need to know, what am I building? So before I go out and I start to do things, I need to know what is the clear pathway, right? And so anything, and again, think about this, even in architecture, before they go build that house or before they go build that big building, it starts with a what, coaches? What does it start with? Every time it's going to always, you said what? Plans. Why so?
Plans.
Why do you think they start with the plan? Why is it always starting with a plan? Why is this?
A failure to plan is planning to fail.
I want you to say that again, coach. Say it again.
Failure to plan is planning to fail.
Okay. So listen to this. If you fail to plan, plan to fail. All right? And that sounds really simple, right? It sounds very simple to say. But in any business and anything, if there is no plan, you should plan to fail, okay? And what that means is you're not going to wing your way into maturity. You're not going to wing your way into a successful business. You're not going to wing your way into a strong coaching culture and community. You have to actually plan. There has to be a plan. And without a plan, every day feels like random, disorganized, anxious experiences that leave you simply just panicked about the thing you want to do, but you feel like you never did. Okay? So before we do anything, we start with a plan. I'm going to give you an aha moment. Your clients who come into your program, okay, they literally don't know what exactly you're going to do. Okay? They know that they have a desire, and we'll talk about this here in a second. But they don't have any idea of how do they actually do the thing that they came in to do. We'll talk about why they came in. And if you don't have a plan for them, you should plan for them to fail. Okay? So one of the takeaways as a coach is as you write out your program for your clients, you have to develop a roadmap. Something you can hand to them. Something they can follow. Something that they can anticipate. Something that they can expect. Something that they know from day one to day end, this is what we're going to do, and this is what you can expect. Coach, what's been your experiences, even as you come into different programs and sorts, with those who kind of let you know everything that was to come up front versus things that didn't let you know anything, and you kind of went down the road and you just got surprised as you came up to them? Go ahead.
Well, part of it goes into the situation of where if they don't provide anything up front, you have an expectation that's misaligned with what they're doing and what you're thinking. And then you start thinking, oh, this is my expectation, but it wasn't properly communicated.
Good.
And then they're like, hey, well, this is what we were planning on doing, but they never said it to begin with.
Good. Good. And you said expectation that's misaligned with what, Coach? Say that phrase again.
Misaligned to what your
expectations.
Your expectations.
Good. Now think about that. That is the formula for confusion. That's what you just described. It's literally confusion. The expectations is misaligned to what somebody was going to deliver. That is the formula for confusion. Coach Rashawn, what's been your experiences with those who have opened up what they plan, a process, clear as day, versus kind of gradually figuring it out as we go? Go ahead.
Well, it's easier to follow, and you trust them more and believe the process and can see and can decide if that's what you want to do or what you even need when someone's clear about where you're going. And you learn more. Just as a teacher, we tell the kids what you're expected to know by the end of this lesson.
Good.
And then I go say, I walk around, what did you learn today? Does it match what you were expected to learn? Like Matt was saying, the expectations are listed before we even start. So you have a compass, a direction, an endpoint,
good,
so to speak. You know how to get there.
Good. One of the examples that I use a lot, when I was coming up, I went to Dallas Independent School District. And in the school district, in my school, every time I came to school, there was something new that I wasn't expecting. There was a quiz, there was a paper, there was a test, there was something that was coming up every single time that I was not aware was going to happen. So what happened is, every time I came to school, I felt anxious. Right? I was very kind of nervous because I didn't know if I was going to be bombarded with some big task that the teacher kind of came up that day. Or I'd be excited because, yes, I was anxious that day, but today they rolled in the TV and we got to watch movies because there's a sub all day, right? And so literally I learned to go to school every single day with no idea what was going to happen. Versus when I graduated from high school and I went to undergrad at the University of North Texas. And from day one, they put in my hand a thing called a syllabus, right? And that syllabus spelled out what was going to happen from day one to day end, okay? There were no surprises on the readings. There were no surprises on the quizzes. There was no surprises on the projects due. There were no surprises on the midterm test, everything else. And what it did was it allowed me to better organize my time because there was a plan. So here's another aha moment. Without a plan, you cannot build out an infrastructure, which is key to organizing your time. Notice this, coaches. All these things work together. So now, as I'm building out this plan, plans give me the ability to implement infrastructure, which then dictate how I spend my time. Okay? And so, again, how do you, and this is how we open up, coach, how do you, as a coach, build a sustainable coaching business that allows you to integrate your personal life, your family life, your spiritual life, as you build out your coaching and entrepreneur life? Okay? And what we started by saying is that if it's just an idea void of a plan, right? So if you fail to plan, you should do what, Coach Matt?
Plan to fail.
Plan to fail. Right? So before you go and buy a folder, and before you go and get a big calendar, and before you go and try to put sticky notes everywhere into your thing, you first need a plan, right? You need a proven process that allows you to go from where you are from start to the outcome that you desire. All right. Now let's talk about time. Okay. When you have a plan now opens the door for you and I to then organize our time around an infrastructure. Okay? Think of an infrastructure as simply the things that make it possible for you to begin work. Okay? Let's just think of it in these terms. Let's go back to the large building. So when we're building out a building or a home, okay, one thing that's strange is the amount of time that seemingly just spent in the dirt. Right? You ever notice they're doing new construction somewhere, right? And they bring out these big, trucks and tools and, special machines. And for some reason, for months and months and months on end, you see nothing but dirt. Okay? And then one day you look up and there's a huge building out of nowhere, seemingly that came up overnight. What is happening for months and months and months while you're just driving by seeing the dirt? What is happening during that time, Coach?
They working.
What are they working?
They building.
Okay, what are they building?
Building the plan.
What do you mean? Okay, they building a plan. What do you mean?
The plan that they had before they started, now they're doing step by step. They're not doing it all in one day, right? Mm-hmm. So they are going in order of how to build it, and they're chipping away at it each day.
Good.
Until they get done.
Good. Coach Matt, what are they doing in that dirt every day?
So they're laying a foundation to be able to go ahead and organize exactly what they're needing, as well as the time and space to do it.
Yes. I want you guys to hear this. Without the foundation, you and I are just doing creative content. Right? This is like the trend. The trend, remember, I've done this the wrong way, right? is you go and you say, oh, I just want to start working with clients. So I'll just start doing my one-to-ones, right? Or I'll just come up with a cool video. I'll come up with some cool content, right? Or I'll do, I'll do a merch line, or I'll do a special guest, right? That I interview, right? But you do that void of having the infrastructure, right? So now you don't have the infrastructure. You got cool things, right? You got a whole bunch of cool things that you're doing, and you're trying to build these things in a way that allows you to generate revenue. We'll talk about goals here in a second. So you try to start building these things in a way that will lend itself to you making revenue. What's the challenge with this, right? All right, you got cool things that you're building, and you somewhat are working the plan. You're not working the plan, but you don't have an infrastructure. What's the challenge as a coach you run into with this model?
It has no purpose.
Okay, what do you mean?
I mean, because with the foundation, it has a purpose of which it's building to make it firm. But one of the issues of this is that it's just too sporadic. It's more emotionally driven without a consistency.
Ooh. Come on, coach. Say that again. It's more what again?
It's a more emotionally driven without consistency.
Now look at this. Where there is a lack of infrastructure, there's the presence of emotion. So now it's all about emotion. What's the problem? We're building a foundation of emotion, coach. What's the problem with this? So we don't have an infrastructure. We build it off emotion. What's the problem with this?
When the money goes up, you'll feel great. But when the money goes down,
that's right,
you're going to be more depressed.
That's right. Coach Rashad, what's the problem with building your business on emotion and not building it on an infrastructure?
It's unstable.
Ooh.
You're unstable.
What do you mean? Explain so. How so?
So just what he said. You're up and down. When business is good, you're good. When it's not, you feel like it's over. Versus if you have an infrastructure, whether it's good or bad, in the moment, you know where it's going. So if it's bad, you know how to get it out, or it doesn't. You're not in your feelings, right? Because you have it on paper, and that's what it will work if you work it. But if you don't have an infrastructure, you're gonna be all over the place, and maybe end up, quitting.
That's right. So I want you guys to hear this. It's too unstable to scale. You can't grow this past a certain point, right? This is 100% contingent on your mood. Coaches, you're not going to grow a business on your mood. I don't care how great of a coach you are. You can't grow it on talent. You can't grow it on mood. You can't grow it on charisma. Your business as a coach will only grow through what? Infrastructure. So the second aha moment is you cannot grow a mature coaching business on emotion. Right? Remember, Coach Matt, this is what we were saying early on. We opened up with this. Man, I feel like this, and I feel tired, and I feel these things. Okay. That means you're not instituting and leaning into the infrastructure. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So this is the thing. This is how we go back and check ourselves. Is we put infrastructure in place so as a safeguard from ourselves. This is another aha moment. The infrastructure is a safeguard from my bad mood that day. The infrastructure is a safeguard from my negative emotions that day. And because we are building around an infrastructure with a clear plan, we can have a bad day and our business still grow. Okay? And so implementing an infrastructure keeps us from being super cool, flashy, jazzy, and allows us to continue to move. All right? That good? That clear?
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. So now that we got the plan and we have the infrastructure, okay? This is how do you build a sustainable coaching business, all right? Now we need a goal, all right? How are you building something and you don't have a goal, right? And so everything starts with a point A to your point B. Everything, okay? Business is nothing but us solving a problem and going from point A to point B. So point A is point pain, and point B is the transformation. Okay? When your clients are coming into your program, they're not coming in because you're super smart and you're cool. Right? Your clients are coming into your program because what they learn about you, what they believe about you, is that you can do what for them, coach?
Help them solve a problem.
There you go. They don't care about anything else. If you cannot help them solve their problem, nothing else matters. Or help them experience an outcome. Right? So your coaches are coming in for an outcome. That's what makes coaching different. Is you are not a motivational speaker. You're helping them create an outcome or a specific transformation. And that transformation needs to be measurable, not sentimental. Right? Too oftentimes, we will get very vague about an outcome. And because we're vague about an outcome in this immeasurable way, it means more to us than it means to them. Okay? And the reason why they're going to pay you is because you have clearly articulated the outcome. Okay? And so as a coach, as someone who is building something, you got to be clear about what's your outcome. What do you want out of this? Right? What's the thing that you're trying to get out of this? And we talked about this earlier. This is what allows you to not do the start and stop. Right? Again, you got outcomes. You know, hey, we are working on growing this business to generate the first $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. We're working on doing this, and I'm revisiting these outcomes so that I stay in alignment with what I'm doing. Think of outcomes simply as a goal, right? So you can't grow anything without a goal. You have to have a goal. This is why, and this is the coaching nugget. You get a client come in, right? And the first thing that is going to get their ear is that you can speak directly into their pain. Okay? Pain gets people's attention. Right? So we've talked about this before. If you can talk about a person's pain, imagine being in a crowd. And in that crowd, you start to talk so clear about a particular type of pain that the person in the crowd feels like it's just you and them. Right? That means you have a good pulse on your profile client's pain. Right? That's how you get their attention. How you get their funds or their money, right? Or their investment is by communicating the outcome. Right? But the only way for you to know what they want is for you to ask them their goals. What is your goal in this? Remember, this is not about me and you. We're bringing people into an infrastructure to help them solve their what, coach?
Their problem.
Their problem. So we need to know their goal. And again, their goal can align with our goal because we have a specific goal that we're trying to achieve in our business. But we want to know their goals. And as we learn their goals, now we can show them how we're going to plan to get them from point A to B. Okay? So the next piece of this is you have to be clear on your goal. If you are not clear on your goal and your starting point, you will find yourself constantly drifting. What's some observations, coaches, that you see even as you hear me talk about starting points and goals?
Things are about order.
Okay,
There
what do you
needs
mean?
to be order. There needs to be a plan. There's steps that you take in the plan. There's things that have to be able to be measured so that you know when you've achieved success, not vague things. So you want to create goals that you can say, oh, yep, I did that because of this success criteria, we call it. So yeah, this is all non-emotional too, right? It's
Yes.
you writing it out. It is what it is, whether you feel happy, sad, mad, or glad.
That's right.
It's like, this is what it is based on whatever, but it'll be what it is however you're feeling.
Yes.
So don't go off your feelings, go off your plan and your goal.
Good. And I want you to hear this, Coach. This is what keeps us in alignment. Right? Go back to the plan. Write it down. What did we say? What were we trying to achieve? Right? And do we have a clear pathway to do so? Do we have a proven process to do so? Right? So, and I love that we're talking about how do we create something sustainable. I'm just going to do one more. Is now that we know the goal, we know the goal. The goal is $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month. All right, I know the goal. All right, now I know how to even charge. Right, and remember, your outcome when you start to charge certain ticket prices has to be a 10x return for your client. Right, they need a 10x return. And you want to be so clear on what you're going to get them that they feel confident. Oh, I'll get a 10x return on this investment that I'm making with you. Because remember, their starting point is here. And they want to know, if I invest this with you, what's going to be my return? All right, I'm going to go through one more thing and then we'll just start to wrap up. So, the only next thing that needs to happen is now we got to start working that plan, right? And in coaching, this would be pillars, right? These are your pillars. What are the steps that help you get from A to B, right? And we talked about this earlier. It's not all at one time. It's little by little. But I know that every day I'm working on something that's going to give me a return on investment. Right? So I am not just shuffling paperwork, making emails. I'm not doing anything that does not move the needle a little bit more from point A to B. And in your business, this would be called your daily habits. Right? So we talked about the infrastructure organizes your time. Right? Gives you the ability to have time. But the A to B, or the process, helps you implement your habits. And now you have the ability to bring in good habits. Because keep this in mind, coaches. All of this is on you. This is not someone else's business, because you are both coach and owner. This is the reason why you're able to eat from this. Right? Now, again, if you were profit sharing and I was doing your coaching, all right, let's do 70-30. I want 70, you get 30. Okay? You come be one of my coaches and you come work the field for me because I took the time to be the coach, and you are simply just a coach. You're not the owner. In this model, because you get the lion's share of the return, that means you also have the lion's share of the risk and the responsibility. Okay? And because of this, as you grow your business, you and I are having to implement daily habits. What are those things? I love Coach Rishon. You said something so beautiful. You said you look at it like what? Explain that thing you said earlier about how you look at the money. Because I think that's a great thing about time. You said you look at time.
I look at it like a bucket of time instead of, or a budget with money.
Okay.
It's you're budgeting your time. So you
Okay.
have 24 hours in the day. So you have to figure out your priorities and what is a necessity. Sleep, obviously. Some people don't believe that. I do.
I do too. I know it
you
is.
need rest to function at your best. And then go from there, listing what you have to do. And then list what needs to be done. You know, you're not going to die if you don't do it. But then allot time to that. What's an appropriate amount of time? You have to decide that for yourself or with your family. You know, if you have a family, you know, you need to consider other people. But it's just a bucket of time that you're budgeting and balancing. And it doesn't have to be equal. Balance doesn't mean equal time to everything. But the appropriate amount or reasonable.
And I love that illustration, right? I love the illustration. I want you guys to see this. I mean, literally, every day you get this. Right?
So I'll add this, too. When I just thought about it, you don't have, so your time is not just it's 24 hours in one day, but you have 7 days out of the week. So your day can look different because 24 hours gets eaten up quickly. So if you don't have enough time on one day, put something on another day in a time slot. So just alternating like that. Not really?
Great.
Okay.
Great. And I love that, Coach, because again, we're building something in real time. We're not building something that's just theory. And now, in order to do these things, you have to create a daily routine that will allow you to win. Many of us are not clear on our goal. We don't have a plan. We don't have an infrastructure. Therefore, our time gets eaten up, and we don't know how we're allotting it. Therefore, we don't succeed. But if we were simply to take the time that we have, allot it to the priorities, do only the thing that was going to move the needle, right? Remember, every day, the needle doesn't have to get us all the way to the goal. It just needs to move us towards the goal, right? This is the hardest thing. This is where people who struggle with overthinking really get stuck. They think they got to do it all at one time. You don't. No, you just do it a little bit at a time, and you do a little bit every single day. And as you measure these things, right, this is another piece, is you're doing tracking, right? You start tracking these things. In time, you will see, oh, it did change, right?
Yeah.
This is growing, okay? And so this is the way you build out a coaching business that is sustainable. Is that every day I am doing little by little and following a plan. Sometimes I got to go back and revisit the plan. I'm really thinking my starting point. Where am I actually at? And then what's the goal and the outcome? And then how do I need to organize my time to either implement an infrastructure, go find a plan, or a plan that works for what I'm attempting to do, and then implementing the daily habits around that plan that would lend itself to me being able to get that goal. If you do this in any area of your life, you will succeed. But I'll end with this. But if you fail to plan, you should plan to fail. All right.